Hey everyone, tonight is one of the most exciting nights of the entire year for me because tonight is WWE Wrestlemania. Now, a lot of people who know me know that I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling and I get the mick taken out of me quite a lot about it by none of my colleagues on Strictly, none of my mates from home really understand this. They all think pro wrestling is for kids and I'm going to convince you otherwise. I've loved it since I was a kid. I love the drama, the characters, the athleticism, the fact that it's live, it's the best live entertainment, the choreography. I've just always loved it. It's basically my soap opera. It's my show that I watch. I've watched it since I was a kid and I still watch it today. For all of you that are about to maybe comment and go, oh, it's all fake, can we just get over it? Can we get over that fact right now before we start? Because I watch wrestling, like I said, as my soap opera. It's my EastEnders, basically. Nobody who watches pro wrestling is watching it thinking that it's real sport. Nobody believes that, unless you're like maybe 6 years old when you think Mickey Mouse is real. When you watch EastEnders, nobody's going, oh, do you know what? They're not real people. That's actually Danny Dyer and Kelly Bright playing characters. You just watch it and you believe in the characters. And I know wrestling is kind of fantastical, but Game of Thrones, for example, nobody watches Game of Thrones and goes, well, I don't believe there are dragons. They're all playing characters. It's all drama, and I watch it as well as many wrestling fans watch it in exactly the same way. So please don't write on here, oh, wrestling's fake. No one cares. All right. In many ways, it's I think pro wrestling is sort of like the original reality TV, because there was a time when people did think it was real, like decades ago, when it was sort of first in the consciousness of people. People thought wrestling maybe was a real thing. Just like today, when people sort of watch reality TV and they'll watch something like a Towie or what's the other one, Made in Chelsea and things like that, shows like that. I don't really watch those, but I'm not having a go at anyone who does. You enjoy what you enjoy, but there's an element of reality to it in the fact that these people are being themselves, but I would suspect that there's also an element of a lot of the stuff on there is kind of set up. And they look for the most dramatic ways of making TV. So it's reality TV, but it's sort of a constructed reality. And I guess that's what wrestling was in the beginning. That's how people perceived it. But wrestling now is the one sort of at the forefront of everything, going, yeah, well, we know it's all characters and we know it's not for real. And they do so many documentaries on behind the scenes and how they build these characters and the relationships of the wrestlers behind the scenes, how they build matches and build a drama and stuff like that. Now, what I wanted to talk about was how, to me, pro wrestling, the WWE Wrestlemania, which is on tonight, is basically the same show as Strictly Come Dancing. And I've been banging on about this for the last few years, so those around me know what I'm about to say. But so consider this. If any of you have ever been to the Strictly Come Dancing live tour that we do in sort of January, February time, we go out to a packed arena of people. It's a live show in an arena, which is basically what wrestling is. We come out to big entrance music. So it's all sort of bells and whistles and pyros going off, and just like the wrestlers, they'll have their theme music as they come out into the arena to the fans cheering them. We come out to the Strictly theme tune, and now we come down the stairs and we're waving at the crowd and trying to get the audience kind of energized. We come out in elaborate, sometimes ridiculous costumes, just like the wrestlers do. They all have their own sort of unique. They go, oh, they're just guys coming out in lycra. That's what I do for a living. I come out in lycra, all tanned up, just like the wrestlers. Then they come out, and what they do is they come out and perform choreography. Now, this is another thing one of the main things that I appreciate about WWE wrestlers, not just WWE, there's lots of other companies, but like it's WrestleMania tonight, so I'm talking about WWE. They come out and they perform choreography. Now, a lot of the choreography, which I really appreciate, is on the fly. So what they do is they say, right, at the beginning of this match, we'll do a few of these moves, and then at the end, this is how we'll end the match. This is what we're going to do, and we'll probably do this, this, and this somewhere in the middle. And the rest of it, they're talking to each other the whole time, and basically improvising choreography, and it's really, really athletic choreography. So I admire that so much. But as I say, that's what we do on the Strictly Come Dancing tour. We come out to our big entrance music in our costumes to an arena, and we go out into the middle and we perform choreography. It's just different skills. I'm a ballroom dancer. These guys are, to all intents and purposes, stunt fighters. That's what they do. They know how to fight and make it look good, know how to flip and fall on their back and tumble and get hit, while trying to do it as safely as possible, but making it look good. And they're really, really athletic. So I admire a lot of the choreography. Then what they do is that they'll get on the microphone, and that's what we do in the Strictly tour. We dance our dance, minute and a half we get. Then we come over to the presenter and we get some mic time, where we get to sort of talk about our experience on Strictly and maybe big ourselves up a little bit, and basically, to use a wrestling term, to put over another person. So in wrestling, what they do is, if they're trying to make another wrestler look good by, taking a beating from them or talking about them on the mic or whatever, or talking about themselves on the mic, what they're doing is they're putting that person over. So I might get on the microphone in the Strictly arena, and my last partner, Susan Kalman, I would try and put her over. Basically, say on the microphone to the audience what I think is amazing about Susan, and basically why they should vote for her. In wrestling, it's why they should cheer for that person, why they should get behind them. So just like the wrestlers, we get on the mic and we put ourselves over, we put our partners over. The other thing, one of the main things that I love about pro wrestling is the characters. They develop these incredible, insane, larger-than-life characters that are all sort of versions of themselves. Now, some of them go more extreme than others, but they're basically dialed-up versions of themselves. So you'll get the ones that are sort of big, screamy, shouty muscle heads. You'll get the ones that are just the fans' favourites. They have what they call faces and heels, baby faces and heels. The baby faces are the good guys. They're the ones that are sort of saying, do the right thing, don't cheat to win. The prime example when I used to watch it as a kid was Hulk Hogan, who was always telling the crowd, eat your vitamins and say your prayers and all this kind of thing. And then you'll get the bad guys. They're the heels. They're the ones that'll sort of cheat to win a little bit. They'll trash talk a lot about their opponents, and get real angry all the time. And I think on Strictly there is an element of that, because we're all sort of our own characters on the show. We're all a little bit different, and the show are probably conscious to cast it in that way. They don't want the same person, all the pros across the board, or all the celebrities for that matter. But just talking about the pros and maybe the judges, the sort of mainstays on the show, you can say that Craig Revel Horwood is a heel on the show, just like a bad guy in wrestling. So it's his job to sit there and be really harsh. Now, he is a really harsh critic. It's not like he's completely putting that on. He's very harsh when he judges. But he just dials it up a bit, I think, on the show. So whereas he might think, I didn't really like that dance, on TV, he will hammer that dance and give it a 2 out of 10. Bruno, on the other hand, he's quite excitable, and he's generally quite positive about the dances. So on the show, he dials that up, and he'll be off his chair, sometimes fall off his chair. He'll be loud and shaking his hips about it. So he's more of a babyface character. I would say I'm more of a babyface on the show, what they'd call a white meat babyface. I generally consider myself a decent bloke. I'm quite encouraging and friendly with all of my dance partners. I want the best for them. I'm not sort of one of the strict hardball type teachers. I'm generally quite sort of happy to be there and quite humble. And then Sir Bruce Forsyth, on my first show back in 2013, he made this joke about how he couldn't say all the people's names, and then finally one that he could actually say, Kevin from Grimsby. And that became my thing. Like, everyone now knows me as Kevin from Grimsby. No, like, nobody knows that I'm Kevin Clifton. Everyone's like, Kevin from Grimsby, Kevin from Grimsby. And in essence, that became like my pro wrestling character. That became my sort of my character on the show. Now, it basically is me, but it became almost like a gimmick, like it was my thing. And now, like, if I don't wear my glasses a lot of the time, I should have put them on for this video. If I don't wear my glasses, people go, "Where's your glasses? I want to see you in your glasses," because that's what they're used to seeing from me on Strictly as Kevin from Grimsby. So we're basically just doing the same things. Brendan Cole, when he would answer back to the judges, if he didn't like something that the judges were saying about him or his partner, now he would get angry and answer back to the judges sometimes and get sort of narky about it. So you could say that he was more of a heel character on the show. Now, that doesn't mean to say he's a bad guy. He was just dialing up that side of him that is very passionate about what he does. So he would play sort of a little bit of a heel sometimes. And then what happens at the end of the night on a wrestling show is that someone is usually crowned the champion and they get a belt, which is the same thing. And Strictly, someone gets crowned the champion at the end. It's sort of voted, it is voted for by the public. The public have a say in who that champion is. And whilst pro wrestling is scripted, so they decide who's going to be the champion, sort of micro on any given night, they just go, right, it's going to be you. Macro, in the long term, it's pretty much decided by audience because it comes down to fan favourites. There's a guy called Daniel Bryan who didn't necessarily look the part in wrestling. He didn't look like your typical, like The Rock, this amazing looking guy with the perfect body who, could be the cover of a magazine everywhere he goes. But he was such a great wrestler. All of his matches were so brilliant. He was such a great performer that the fans just got behind him. And there was this whole movement where the fans could not get enough of him. And in the end, WWE sort of had no choice but to make him the champion because it's what the fans wanted. So really, it comes down to entertaining the fans all the time. You go out, you in your outfit, to your entrance music, you do your choreography, you entertain the fans as much as possible. And the characters that we're playing sometimes on a night aren't necessarily real. You can say, oh, wrestling's fake, but when I'm going out doing a dance number with Susan Calman, pretending that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, obviously that's not real. As much as I tried, Susan Calman has no interest in me. So yeah, then at the end of it, we go out and someone gets crowned the champion. But I think the most important thing about in pro wrestling, even more than, say, getting the title belt, and on Strictly even more than maybe winning overall, is about entertaining the audience and stealing the show. And that is usually my mentality. That's my mentality on Strictly Come Dancing. And I think for most pro wrestling wrestlers, that's what it's about as well. Obviously, the ultimate sort of world championship belt or the Strictly Come Dancing glitter ball is important. Like, we all would love to win it. But the most important thing is going out and entertaining the audience and stealing the show. And it's the ones that do that on a regular basis that end up, in the long run, getting the plaudits, being the fans' favourites. That's true of wrestling, and I think that's true of dancing as well, and in all arts, actually. So there's my thoughts on why I love wrestling and why I think Strictly Come Dancing is basically the same show, just a different skill set. We're ballroom dancers, they're stunt fighters, and we go out and we entertain the audience through narrative and through storylines, through characters, and hopefully you'll carry on watching Strictly Come Dancing, and I can't wait for WWE Wrestlemania tonight.